Hi all, a very good evening. Am I audible? Okay. Okay. So today I'm going to see a new topic. So totally a new thing, just object-oriented programming. So what is object-oriented programming? So till now we are coding only with respect to logic, right? So problem statement would be given. Okay, a logic would be hidden in that problem. You have to find that logic and then you'll be coding for that. Okay, so we'll be using any of the constructs like looping or if condition. Okay, like that you'll be using and then you'll be solving the problem. So all those are totally logic based. Okay, or structure based. Okay, now we're going to enter into object oriented programming. So so to create any application, so there should be some mapping between the real world and the computer world, right? Okay. So just to bring that mapping, we have this concept called object oriented programming. So you take any application, for example, library management system or ticket booking system. Okay. So everywhere you can find objects. Okay. So if you see in library management system, book book is an object. Okay. So the person who is ordering a book. Okay. So the person is another object. Okay. And then we have some other users, like you have the admin who will take care of like creating new books and then adding the entry. So so he is another user, he is another object. Okay, so like that we have various objects, and the mapping between all those objects is done using this object oriented programming. Okay, so hereafter we'll be visualizing everything as an object. Okay, so table is an object, classroom is an object. Okay, so blackboard is an object, chair is an object. Okay, like that, fruits, apple, vehicle, okay, car, four-wheeler, everything you're going to visualize that as objects. So understood what is this object-oriented programming and why we are moving to object-oriented programming? Any doubts in this introduction?
No,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay. Yeah. So now, like, so object is nothing but it is an instance of a class. Okay. What is a class then? Class is like a blueprint. So this will define how an object should look like. Okay. For example, you take a chair. You'll be defining the chair, right? So like what is the material of the chair? Is it a wood or a cushion type? Okay, so is it a rollable chair or does it have four legs? Okay, so like that you will define a chair. Like that you define a table. You define a fan. Okay, so everything you have a definition. So what are the characteristics? All those things put together, you'll define what is you'll define the characteristics of a class. Okay, so and all the classes will have the functionalities also. Functionalities means like what the chair can be used for. It can be used for sitting. Okay, so it can be used for if it's a wheelchair, So it is used in hospital to carry patients. Okay. So like if it is we can also carry things on it. So like that it has a lot of functionalities. So if we take human beings, so we should define what are the properties of human beings. Number of legs is two hands, two eyes, okay, skin tone. Okay, and then we have what are the functionalities of the human being. So a lot of functionalities are there, right? He will eat. Okay, how does he define how he is eating? Okay, and how he is walking. Okay, how is respiratory system works. Okay, like so what other functionalities he does. Okay, so like extracurricular activities. So like that we'll define, right? So all those things put together is called a class. So first we have the characteristics and the functionalities. Okay, so characteristics and functionalities put together will become a class. And we have different names for characteristics and functionalities. Okay, data member, member function, state, behavior. Okay, so these are different names, okay, for characteristics and functionalities. So these all these things put together will become a class. Okay. So with this basic understanding, we'll try to create one class. So I'm going to create a class called person. So this is how we will create a class. Okay, you have the class name. Okay, which is class is a keyword and followed by. Always remember that class name should start with capital. Okay, it is actually a rule. It's not like a Python will not throw an error if you give a small letter for a class, but it is a rule. Okay, class means it should start with a capital letter, and rest all everything should start with small letter except class. All other things, okay, the variables, functions, all those things will start with a capital letter. You could have seen all the programs which are written. Okay, everything will start with a small letter, right? Now only I have started writing with capital letter because classes name should start with the capital letter. Okay, so so we need to define what are the characteristics of the person, right? So we know that Python does not have we need not declare any variable at all. Okay, so we not say that we have like characteristics called height, which is an float variable. Okay, and weight, which is also a float variable. Age is an integer. Name is a string. Okay, like that we need not define, right? So we can so since it uh, Python supports dynamic typing. Okay, so Java, what we would do is we would first define like what are the properties separately because they come along with the data type. In Python, since like dynamic typing is supported, okay, we did not do it separately. Instead, we have a function, okay, which will do that, okay, for us. So that function name is init. Okay, so I'll tell how to do that. So function will always start with def, right? Definition, and then init is nothing but double underscore init and then a double underscore. Okay, so this is the syntax for init: double underscore init double underscore open bracket, and then we have the self. Okay, self is nothing but which will point to the current object. Okay, so the current objects, it is pointing to the current object. Okay, I'll tell you the uses of self. Okay, now followed by self, and the self is mandatory. The name self is not mandatory, but one variable representing self is mandatory. Okay, and followed by this we have the properties of the person. Okay, for example, age, gender, height, and weight. Okay, so now what we have to do is like so these parameters are going to be passed while creating an object. Okay, there are four parameters. The self is like representing the current object, so this should not be considered as a parameter. Okay, so whatever is followed by self will be considered as the parameter. So we have age, gender, height, and weight. Got it? So these four are going to be the characteristics of the class person, and this can be any name. Okay, so instead of age, let me give P, and instead of gender, let me give G. Okay, so now I simply put self dot age is equal to age. So this age is the property of the person, and this age is the argument that is passed to this init. Okay, self dot gender is equal to G, self dot height is equal to H, and then self dot weight is equal to weight. Understood? Any doubts in this? I just declared a person. Okay, I would defined a class person, and then we have the, so this is also called the constructor. So what do you mean by constructor? The name itself tells, right? Okay, whenever you create an object, the first method that will be called is this init method. Okay, so this will initialize, okay, it knows what all parameters are there, and it will initialize all the values, whatever has been passed. Okay, that's why the name constructor. Okay, so as of now, we'll leave with the functionalities. We'll suppose that there is no functionalities at all. Now coming to the main program. Okay, so how to create an object for person is just put the object name, okay, P or P1, okay, person 1 is equal to person, okay, which is the class name. Okay, and then of, it will expect four values here. Okay, for age, gender, height, and weight, it will expect four values. Age, gender, height, and weight. Fine. So this is how you will create an object. Now, how to access all these values using P1? It's nothing but, see, like what happens is this P1 is defined. Okay, so like now I told you, right, class is going to be the blueprint. So inside this person class, we have four properties of this person. Okay. Now, while creating an object, I will initialize all these properties. Age is 25, gender is male, height is 178, and weight is 82. So like this, I can create how many ever persons I want. Okay, this is a blueprint. Using this blueprint, I can create how many ever persons I want. Okay, so it is like a plan. So like if you build a house, first you will create a plan, right? Okay, so you know where, how many bedrooms should be there, how many one hall, one kitchen, and where all the bathrooms have to be placed, dining hall. So you'll just prepare a plan, right? So according to the plan, you will create the house. Okay, so it is not that you're building, like if you take apartments, okay, you have multiple houses, multiple flats with the same like same pattern, right? So they have a blueprint. Using that blueprint, they'll create the houses. That blueprint is called the class. Okay, so like that, P2 is equal to person of 23, Female. Okay, fine. Now, how to access these variables using P1 and P2 is nothing but just put print of P1 dot age. That's all. Similar to this, you can access any variable. P2 dot gender. So Sam is asking a question. Will Python throw an error when you provide only part of the attribute of person? Okay, like you give only age and gender, and you just skip height and weight. Is it so? Yeah, it will definitely throw an error. Okay, why? Because it expects four arguments, but you're giving only two arguments. It will throw an error. So we can avoid this by giving default values. We saw in function, right? If we give default values, height is equal to 1, and then weight is equal to 182, like that. If you give at that time, we can, if you give two variables and two values, then it is fine. Now it is not possible because no default values are not assigned. Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, so any doubts so far? Now we should have understood what is a class, and then how to define a class, and how to like uh, how to declare various parameters using the init. Okay, and then how to create an object, how to access the variables using the object. Any doubts? No doubts. Okay, very good. Now, like each time, okay, I cannot keep on like accessing these variables for printing, right? So to print all these values, I have to write four print statements. So that is not feasible for me. So what I do is I just write a method to display. Okay, and most important thing, all the methods, okay, that corresponds to person should have the first parameter as self. Okay, the name self is not mandatory. You can give any name. I can, I'll give only yes. Okay, and I'll tell you how to do it using yes also. Okay, so but that yes should be followed in that entire function. That's it. Okay, not for the entire class, only for that particular function you should follow this yes. See, for init I have given self, whereas for display I have given yes. Okay, now so I can format my own display function, right? So print age is equal to. Now how to access this age is very simple. Use a self like parameter whichever you have passed. Okay, whatever it may be. If it is self, then you have to put self here. So put yes dot age. Print yes dot gender. Print. Okay, since I have not given it as self, it is showing a warning. Okay, So if I give self, then this warning will go away. But still, this is a valid program. Okay, why? Because I have replaced self with yes. Okay. So now hereafter, I need not use these individual print statements for accessing the age and all. So simply I put p1 dot display. Okay, now what happens? This okay for this person one. Okay, for this p1, we have 25 male 178 and 82. That will be printed. Okay, so like that p2 dot display. You can just more print statement. Yeah, so the first is two statements. This is because of the first two, these two print statements. And then you have person details, the first person, and person details of the second person. Okay, fine. Now, like what will happen if I simply print the object itself? Any idea? Print of p1. So what will be printed?
Address of the object.
Yes, very good. So now what happens is the address and um like what class it is. Okay, to what class it belongs to, that will be printed. Okay, it belongs to person class, and then this is the address of that class. Fine. So now what exactly happens if I simply print p1 is nothing but there is an inbuilt function called str. Okay, so it is also called as the string method that will be called. So inside the string method they would have written what should be printed. Okay, that this formatting will be done inside that string method. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to overwrite that str method, and then instead of writing this display method, okay, so if I just put print of p1, that str method would be called, and then whatever is like written inside that str method that will be printed. I want that to happen. Why? Because I need not call p1.display hereafter. Just put print of p1. Okay, the properties of p1 should be printed. So let me change the code like that. Okay, def str of again self. Again, most important thing is this str method is going to return a string. Okay, you're going to create a string and then you're going to return that. Is can you see the difference here? Here I'm just calling p1.display. Okay, whereas here I'm printing it directly, print of p1. Okay, so Rahat is asking, can you explain the self variable in the parameter? Okay, so here what is happening in this init is that only in this init, okay, what happens, the initialization of the variable happens. So in a normal program, if I put age is equal to 10, what happens? A new variable called age would be created, right? Okay, which will be an integer. Okay, so similar thing happens over here also. There are four declarations, sorry, definitions happening over here. Okay, so why this self is nothing but, so this self is pointing to the current object. Okay, so it says that age belongs to this person p1. So if I remove, see, apart from these I can also create some more variables. Okay, for example, name is equal to jk. So now what happens is this does not belong to like the object. So this will just act like a temporary variable that is belonging to the function itself, function only. Understood? Right? So that's why this self means it will initialize this particular parameter to the object.
Um, uh, Sir,
Yeah,
in Java we use this
yeah,
dot
correct, exactly.
parameter.
So some of you
In
might not be knowing Java, that's why I didn't mention that. In
Yes,
Java,
sir.
the equivalent thing is this. Okay, this is equivalent to self over here. Okay. So see, we are how to find the reference variable in class. I didn't get your question. How to find the reference variable means? What is the reference variable here?
Sir, actually, like in
You
recent
can unmute
NPTQ,
and ask the question.
hello, hello.
Yeah,
Sir, in recent
yeah. Tell me.
NPTQ,
I could hear you.
I've written NPTQ exam recently. So they have asked, they provide a code and then ask the reference variables in the class. Hello.
They asked
Okay.
what are the reference variables in the class, or
Yeah, exactly, sir. Like
no, what
they
is the question
assign
exactly?
A1 is equal to something, and then A2 is equal to A1, and then A3 is equal to A2, something like.
Okay, so they are directly assigning a class to another class, object to another object, right?
Yes, sir. In that case, how to find
Mm,
the reference variable?
no, if you have the entire question, you can just post in the chat. I'll tell you. I'm
Okay,
not able to
okay.
picture.
I'll send, sir. Okay.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So this str.self, as I told you, it is going to return a string. So what I have to do is we are going to create a string and then you are going to return that. So either you can write a separate line for creating a string and then return it, or you can directly write the return statement. Okay, return. So I can do my own formatting. Okay, so self dot age. Okay, age would be an integer plus. So I want a comma separated value. So I'll give a comma plus gender self dot gender self dot height. So height and weight, again they're going to be integers or float values, depends. Okay, so str of. Fine. Print of p2. Okay, so these are the two outputs for print p1 and p2. Okay, so this is like formatted using display method and this is formatted using str method. We can also create the same kind of like format in this str also. It's not a problem. Okay, you can just write person details and then plus. So like that, if you start writing and along with the slash n, so you can also do the same kind of formatting. Okay, fine. So you can make str simple. Okay. So understood about str. So hereafter, I can just print the object directly, which would call the str method, and the string that is created inside the str that will be returned, and that will be printed. Okay, done. Fine. So now coming to the access specifiers. So there are actually three access specifiers in Python. One is public, protected, private. Okay, so all these three have different denotions. Okay, but they don't solve the purpose actually. I'll tell you what is the purpose. First, I'll tell the denotion. So the variables, like you can see here, age, gender, height, weight, right? So they don't have any underscores before. You can see init is like preceded with two underscores, right? Like that, age, gender, height, weight, there does not have any underscores at all. So if a variable doesn't have any underscores at all, then it is a public variable. Okay. Protected variable will come with one underscore, and private variables will come with two underscores. Okay, fine. So now if we give single underscore, sorry. Now gender is a private variable, and height, if I give two underscores, then height is a, sorry. Gender is a protected variable, and height is a private variable. Okay. Now we should understand where we can access these public and where we can access these protected, and where we can access these private variables. Okay. So these public variables can be accessed anywhere, or can be accessed by any object. Okay. Protected variables, I just rephrase it. Okay, this is can be, and here I'll rephrase it that should be. Okay, if I cannot put can be, why? Because it doesn't solve the purpose. Okay, so protected variables should be accessed by the inherited classes. Can be accessed, I'll make it anywhere. So like inherited means like you have the parent and you have the child. Okay, so parent child, if there is any parent child relation, then it's called inheritance. We'll talk about inheritance in the future classes. Okay, so if a class is inherited by other class, at that particular scenario alone, you will be able to access the protected variables. Okay, and private variables means it should not be accessed anywhere else except in the same class. Should not be accessed anywhere except in the same class. Okay, so if I declare a variable as private, okay, I will be able to access this, or I should access this only within the class. Okay, not anywhere else. And so these three rules, okay, like these are just written. Okay, these are just rules. That's it. Okay, it is a responsibility of a developer to follow these rules. Python does not restrict these rules at all. If you violate any of these rules, it is not going to throw any error. Okay, it will allow you to like overcome these rules. Okay, I'll tell you how. So I'll just comment this. You can create the class person, and then definite of self comma age, height. Sorry, here it is not needed to give underscores and all. Height, and then gender. Then here self dot age public. Okay, self dot underscore height. Okay, protected. Okay, self dot double underscore gender. This is private. Okay, now let me create an object for this. P is equal to person of fine. As per rule, I should be able to access only this age. Okay, I should not be able to access this height. Why? Because it is protected. Okay, whereas I'll be able to print this age, and as well as I'll be able to access the protected variable, which is height. Okay, fine. I'm able to access. Even though it is a protected variable, I'm able to access. So this should be restricted, right? But Python does not restrict. So it is the responsibility of the coder, okay, to like make sure that it's not accessed directly like this. Okay, and so protected private variable cannot be directly accessed, but that's a shortcut. I'll tell that also. Print p dot double underscore. Okay, so if I give this, it'll throw an error. It'll simply tell that gender is
Hello, sir.
hello.
Can
Yeah.
you repeat the last part? Your voice braked.
Okay, is it okay now?
Yes, it is. The gender part, the error you were explaining.
Yeah, yeah. See, actually, gender is a private variable. Okay, so Python is restricting to access the gender variable simply by telling that it is not present at all. Attribute error. Okay, it is telling that like the object has no attribute called gender. Okay, even though it is present, it will tell that it is not present because it is private. Okay, now how to access that is mm, actually I forgot p dot. mm, mm, Anyone knows how to access? Mm, Give me a minute. Okay, I'll refer and tell you. Or like you take this as an assignment. How to access private variable. Can we make public copy of private variable and then access the using this double underscore gender itself? Okay, so just browse, you will get it. Okay, fine. So like these are the three like access specifiers: public, protected, and private. But whereas Python is not so strict about it. Okay, so it is like actually it is a responsibility for the coder to like make use of these things properly. Yeah, I think I got an answer. Underscore class name underscore private attribute. But what about the object? So is P involved in this or not? Okay, fine, fine. So now you just make it as a take it as an assignment. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fine. So now like so for some security reason, okay. So we should not access these variables directly from other classes. Okay, for other from other objects or from the main. Okay, you should not directly access. So to that's an alternate. So that alternate is called getter and setter. Sorry. So as the name suggests, getter, setter. So what is getter used for? Getter. Getter means what? Yeah. So what is the get function? So getter and setter are just functions. Okay, they are just another simple functions. So what does the get function do? So suppose if I have age, I want to get the age. So I'll just use the get age method. Yeah. So the object's value, the corresponding value will be taken and given using the getter. Okay. Likewise, setter. If I want to update yeah, correct. So if I want to update a particular value, I use the setter. Yeah. Updating or changing, whatever. So now let us see how to use this getter and setter. Okay. Self, comma, we have age. So for like for age, I'm going to write the getter and setter. Okay. So So just write get. It is your own wish. Okay. So you can write get underscore age. Okay. Or you can give any name. It's not any restriction. You can give any other name also. Okay. So it is not that you should give this name itself, but you should remember. Okay. Usually these two are the correct denotions. In Python, in Java, this is the correct denotion. In Python, this is the correct denotion. Okay. Get underscore age. This kind of naming is called camel casing. So I think I explained you while explaining about functions, right? And this is called snake case. Okay. So you can either use camel case or snake case, whereas in Python, this preferably snake case. Okay. Get age of, definitely have the self. Okay. And then this get age is going to return some value. So it does not take any parameter, it just returns a value, colon, return self dot age. Okay. Def set underscore age, and then set underscore age will take a variable, right? It will take a variable from the main program, and then it sets or it changes the value for age. Okay. Comma age, self dot age is equal to age. Okay, so this new age will be updated over here. P is equal to person of 25. Okay, and then so let me write the str method. Return age is equal to plus str of self dot age. Okay, now I just simply put print of p, and then now I'm going to yeah, so if I just want to print the age, okay, print p dot get age. Okay, and then now I'm going to set the age to a different value. I just call set, that is p dot set age of 27, print of p. Okay, so first I'm printing, okay, the person object itself, so it print the age is equal to something, and then like here what is happening, p dot get age. Okay, so it will just return the age, and then I'm printing it, so it will print the value p dot set age. Okay, I'm changing the value of age as 27, then print of p. Okay, fine. So one way of writing the getter and setter. So what is the disadvantage of doing like this is we can give any name for this getter and setter. Okay, so there will be a confusion, right? So which function is used for as getter, which function is used as setter? That's a confusion, right? To avoid that, like okay, so there's one more method. After that, I'll tell you the third method. So one more method is like defining using add property method, add property annotation. So in this, what you would do is you'll take the same function, same class, I have get age, set age. Okay, and then in this add property you can include one more thing also, which is also called as a distractor. Def distractor is nothing but if you want to like delete the age from the person itself. Okay, you'll do this. Usually we want to use this, but just to know we have to. Okay, so del underscore age, delete age of self. So for deleting the age, it's very simple. Just put del space self dot age, and I have the str method, and then yeah. So using add property, I'm going to tell which is the getter, which is the setter, which is the distractor. Okay. So it's very simple. Just put age is equal to property of, I mean here is property method. This is using property method. Okay. Add property. First you should define or you should give which function is denoting the getter, then which function is denoting the setter, and then this is like optional field. Okay, if you have the distractor you can give, else you can leave this blank. Okay, that's all. Okay, so now p equal to person of 25. Okay, so now hereafter I did not use this get age, set age, delete age for accessing this getter setter because I defined it inside the property, right? So now what happens is if I simply give mark dot age, so not mark, p dot age is equal to 27. Okay, so you might think that age is directly accessed using the person p. Okay, person object p, age is directly accessed, but actually it doesn't happen. So what happens is this like setter method will be called. Okay, so to understand that I'll write few more print statements. Print p dot age. So it will not directly call this age for printing, and it will not directly like change the value for age in this statement. Okay, so what exactly happens is it will in turn call the getter and setter because I've defined it over here. Okay, so to explain that I'll just write some print statements. Print inside age getter, inside age. Okay, okay. So there is a small mistake. So what mistake is that is I'll use a protected variable. Why? Because so here there is a self dot age, right? So the self dot age will again call, okay, what, the get method. So this will recursively keep on calling this get method itself. So the self method means what? See here, if I call p dot age, so what happens? It will call say like get age method. Okay, so if I again do this self dot age, it recursively call this get age because that is what I have defined, right? If I simply put the object dot age, get age should be called. So I simply keep on doing this. So what I'll do is I'll just put underscore. Or you can do one more thing. You can just change the name. Okay, I'll just show that method. Awesome. Age 1. I'm just trying it, whether it will work or not, I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay, so I just changed the name. Okay, age 1. Why I've changed the name age 1? Did you understand? So if we had this age itself, what is happening is it is recursively calling this get age again and again. Okay, that is why I'm just changing the name as age 1. Okay. So instead, usually this is written, getter is written only for protected variables. Why? Because I don't have direct access, right? So for public variables, I have direct access. So for public variables, I did not write the getter and setter at all. So only for protected variables, I'll be writing. I'm just showing you how to write all these. That's why I wrote for public variable. So instead, usually getter and setter are written only for protected variables and private variables. Okay. So just give an underscore. Here also an underscore. Okay, fine. So, okay, before this, let me call print of p. So initially age is 25, and so you can see here, I'm just calling this p dot age is equal to 27. So what should have happened? You should directly access this age and change the value, right? But actually it doesn't happen. It is going to this set method. That's why you get this inside the age setter. And after that, it is changing the value of age. Yeah, and then I'm just printing print p dot age. So if I put p dot age, it means I'm calling the getter, right? So it will go to the getter method inside the age getter function. Okay, it goes to the function, and then this the statement is printed, and after that, I'm just the value is also printed. Okay, 27. After that, print of p will print this. Any doubts in this? Yes, are you able to understand? Does property refer to the order which it should print first? No. See, property has three parameters. Okay. First is the getter, setter, and the destructor. Okay. So like if I call just p dot eh, and if I'm trying to assign something, it will directly call this set method. Okay. And if I like use it, okay, or if I assign, it will call setter. If I use it, it will call getter. That's it. Very simple. Okay. Any doubts? Okay. Fine. So now let us see the third method for writing getter setter. So third method is using the add property annotator. Okay. Annotator is nothing but the add symbol. That's it. So it is also very simple. Okay, just need to understand this. So using add property. I remove this distractor. Okay, so now what I would do is, okay, let me write it fresh because the name and all will change. So now add property, okay, and then I'll write def age of self. Okay, no need to give any method name like get, set, and all like that. So directly give def age of self, and then here I can write the print statement like inside getter and then return self dot underscore age. Fine. So this will automatically become your getter if you use add property. Okay, and then to define a setter, so we have given the name over here age, right? The same name you have to give over here at age dot setter. That's all, very simple. Now def give the same name age of self comma age. Okay, and then simply you can write print statement setter, and you can add some constraints also. Okay, so suppose like age should be a valid age, right? So it should not be less than 0. If it's less than 0, you can ask the user to enter the age again, or you can just print a message like warning message like my age is invalid. Okay, like that you can print some methods, print some warning messages. Okay, so for that purpose also this getter setter are used. Okay, print of, sorry, mm, self dot age is equal to age. That's all. Okay, fine. Age is equal to 25 inside setter, inside getter 27, age is equal to 27. Okay, so I'll just give an overview again on this getter and setter. So first of all, getter and setter are used to like since private and protected variables don't have direct access. Okay, if like you want to give a provision to have access, okay, so only for certain variables you can define access, for certain variables you not give the access. For example, passwords. Okay, passwords, for passwords and all you not give getter setter at all. Okay, so wherever it is needed, there alone you can use. Okay, for example the inherited, okay, or within the class if you want to validate it like that, for that purpose alone you can use. Okay, so some in a lot of applications and all, they will encrypt the password, right? So they will store the original password and they have the encrypted version of the password. Okay, the original password should not be relieved at all. You can relieve the encrypted password, whereas the original password should not be relieved. So at that time, the password will be a private variable, and then there will not be any getter setter methods at all. There will be an encryption code that will encrypt the original password and then store it in the encrypted string. So that encrypted password can be a protected variable or a normal public variable. No issues in that. So that can have getter setter methods, or in other inherited classes you can use So those kinds of actions you can do. Okay, so that is the basic purpose of like getter and setter. To access protected and private variables, we use getter and setter. Okay, fine. So there are three ways in which getter and setter can be implemented. First is the normal way. So where you directly write the get age, set age functions, you can define your own name. Okay, it is like it's not mandatory to give the same name itself, but you have to remember what name you have given. That's it. Okay, and then getter is used to retrieve the value, and setter is used to like update the value of update the original value or change the value. Okay, so this is the normal method. Second method is using the property function. Now I know what are the functions are going to act like getter and setter, and then you have the destructor. So inside this inside the property function, I would just mention the first parameter is the getter, second parameter is the setter, and third parameter is the destructor. So this destructor class is method is not mandatory. It's an optional method. You can just leave it empty also. It's not a problem. Okay, it's the second method. Now, like if you directly access using the name itself, what happens? That corresponding getter and setter will be called. Okay, so you need not call the function. Instead, you can just put the variable name itself. That is given over here, and this name is user defined. Here you can put age, and here you can put something else also. Okay, you can change the variable name and then use for security reason. Okay, fine. And the third way is using the add property decorator. Okay, so first what you do is you just put an add property before, like you can see the name over here. This is also your wish, whatever name you want you can give, but this should be followed in other two places. Okay, so here if I give years, here also I should give years dot setter and then years of. Understood? Okay, so this would by default become the getter, and then the same name is used over here to define the setter. Okay, at age dot setter and give. That's all. Any doubts? You can message uh, publicly CVR student, because others also can see your question, right? So this is actually the uh, like a private variable. So others are not able to see, right? What CVR has asked, what CVR has asked the question, okay, not able to see, right? So it is private. Okay, so he's asking whether setter word is default or we can give like age dot sit. I'm not sure, but actually this is the correct format. You should give age dot setter. Setter is, I think it's a keyword. You should give setter only. You cannot give any other name.
Okay.
Okay, fine. So next, let us see about relationship between classes. Okay. So relationship between classes is nothing but if you are able to like fill the two classes, okay, fill between the two classes with these phrases, okay, like has or has many, okay, then it is called relation. Okay, for example, student has a ID card, has an ID card. Okay, so library has many books. Okay, a faculty handles a college has many departments. A book has many pages. Got it? So like that, they can define lot of things. Okay, a bus has many seats. A theater has many seats. Okay, a bottle has a cap. Car has many wheels. Got it? Okay, so like that. So what between two classes, if you're able to fill these two phrases, then it is called relationship. Okay, so it is also called as association. How the two classes are associated. Under association, you have two things. One is aggregation, composition. So the terms might look difficult, but the definition is very simple. Okay, aggregation means weakly coupled, not VAK. Okay, weakly associated. Composition means strongly associated. Okay, so can you like tell me any example for aggregation? Two classes which are weakly associated. Okay, I'll give much more detail about weakly associated. It's nothing but if you like if two classes are associated, if one class is deleted, the other class will not get affected. Okay, if it's strongly associated, if one class is deleted, the other class also has to be deleted because it does not exist without the other class. Okay, fine. So can you tell an example for aggregation and composition? Are you able to follow? Am I going too fast or?
Hello.
I think the explanation is very good.
Hello.
I got the point.
Yeah.
But no example at the moment.
Thank you.
But I'm
Yeah.
following
Can we?
very much.
Yeah. Yeah, Xavier.
So can we take like this?
You change your name, no? I'm not
Okay,
able
okay.
to get your name.
Abhishek. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. Tell Abhishek.
So like if you consider a problem like if a length of the rectangle is 8 centimeters and then perimeter is given as 80, like can we consider that type of problems in aggregation and composition?
No. See, I think you've not understood it properly. You need two classes. Okay, so
Okay,
which are associated together. For example, library. Library is a class.
okay,
And you have book. Book is another class.
okay,
Library has many books.
okay.
Okay, if I remove all the books, library will just become a normal room. We
Yeah,
cannot still call it as a library.
define the library. Yes.
Got
Okay,
it, no?
got it.
So this
Got it.
is relation. So like that, I want more examples. Can you think about any other examples like this? I want two classes which are associated, and I want example for aggregation as well as for composition.
So can we look at a student and then a program they run?
Experience and program?
Students and program.
No, I didn't get you, Sam. Experience and program.
No, students and
Students, okay.
program. Yes.
Okay.
Program.
Yeah,
So,
correct. It is what? Aggregation or composition?
that would be aggregation.
Okay.
Because if you remove the program,
Hmm.
the students will still be there.
Okay, fine. Very good.
So they are weakly related.
Very good. Very good. Okay. So class team and class players, Bhumika has replied. What is that? Is it aggregation or association? Sorry, composition. Bhumika, composition.
I
Class
think
team
that
and
was I
class
think that
player.
was the composition.
Okay. Team and players. Okay, okay, very good. Okay, fine. Physical laboratory and physical department. Again, is an example for composition. Okay, any example for aggregation? Uh, okay, a specific subpart. Okay, fine. So botany department library in a library. Okay. Any other example you think about? Can you think about? If I remove something, that will um, remain the same. For example, the person has an umbrella, right? If I remove the umbrella also, he is the person itself, right? If I remove the person also, that umbrella is going to remain the umbrella itself. Okay. So like that, any other example? So mobile phone and the cover. Okay. So you have the scratch card cover. Yeah, very good. Park and people. So without people also, park remains a park itself. Fine. Okay. University and department. Okay, kind of. Yeah, fine. Very good. So I hope you understood. Okay, what is aggregation and what is composition? What is fan and wings? Fan has many wings, right? If I remove all the wings, will the fan remain the fan itself? No, right? Okay, fine. So and so these are like it should be taken care while like if you're developing any application, like this will come the design part itself. Okay, so you should understand like whether how the two like classes are associated with each other. Okay, so if it is aggregation, then if you remove one class, other class will not get affected. Whereas if it's composition, if you remove one class, the other class also should be removed. Else it will throw error in some other part of the code because they are strongly associated. One does not like remain as it is if the other is removed. Okay, so this will come during the like project implementation part and all. Like you will be using this, you'll be seeing this in those who are like working. Okay, so you'll understand this better. Okay, fine. So there are three types of relationship: one to one, one to many.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
In aggregation, like you've shown that one class is deleted, so other is not affected.
Mm.
So is it in both ways or just
Yeah, in both the
one?
ways.
Okay.
Both the ways. Both the ways.
Okay. Thank you.
You can just think about the example: person, umbrella, mobile phone, and cover. Okay, like that. Okay. So
Okay.
so one to one to many, and many to many. Fine. So I need examples. Don't think about aggregation or composition. Just give me general examples. One to one. Any example?
For one-to-one, we can have a student and major.
And what?
Student and major. A
Measure
student,
what?
a student can pursue only one major.
Major. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Fine.
Or let's say
Yeah.
program.
Okay. Program. Okay.
And one.
Why
Yeah.
you can do multiple
Okay.
programs also, no?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Sorry. Sorry.
Student and ID card. Okay.
Students and ID card. That'll be a good one.
Student and ID card. So for one to many,
Program and students. One program can be
program and
taken by many students.
okay. Very good. Student and teacher. Bhumika has given the answer. Is it one to many?
So one teacher for many students.
It goes the other way also, right? One student will be handled by many teachers also. Different subjects, different teachers, but the students are the same.
Then
So it
many
is
to many.
actually, yeah, it's an example for many to many, but not for
Yeah.
one to many. Okay. Yeah, shopkeeper and customer. It's a good example. Okay. So what I would do is I'll give book pages. Book has many pages. Okay. So usually the name should not be plural. Okay. Class name should be singular only. That also most important thing. And mostly the class name should be noun. Okay. I'll repeat again. The class name should be noun, and then it should not be plural. And then like you have these properties, right? Properties in the sense like data members. Where is this data members? Yeah, functionalities. Okay. So these should be like actions, or it should contain a verb in it. So these are all some rules. Okay. So action means functionality means like eat. Okay, is an action. Drink is an action. Okay. So okay, we'll while solving problems, you'll understand. Book page, and for many to many, we can have faculties and student. Okay, or teacher and student. Okay. So student ID card. Now let us see how to implement all these. Okay. First is let us create a student class. Okay. Uh, See, just to remind me, I have to give you like a demo on how to like use or create these in the ebox. Okay. I'll just show you. See, like what you have to do is you have to write each and every class in separate files, and you should use them as modules. Okay. Or we can do it now itself. I'll just show it to you like in a folder structure how to do that. So I have the main file separately from which you will create the objects for other classes. Okay. Main.py, and then here it is student and ID card, right? So I'll create two more files, student.py, and then ID card.py. Okay, so first let us define student.py. So this is going to act like a module. Okay, so we saw a module in the previous classes, right? Okay, this is going to act like a module. So I'll just create a class over here, and then I will import this class in the main program. Okay, we'll do it completely. You'll understand. So class student. Okay, we'll just give, and one more important thing. See here. So student ID card. So how is it related? Here student has an ID card. That goes well, right? So if I do the other way, if I interchange the positions, ID card has a student, that doesn't hold good. Am I right? Okay. So if this is the statement, student has an ID card, then what you have to do is you have to create an object, or you should have an object of ID card inside student. Able to get it? So if the other way goes fine, ID card as a student, if it goes fine, then the ID card class will have an object of student, but doesn't go well, right? So student has an ID card. So the student class will have an object of ID card class. Okay. So class student def init, sorry, self comma name. Okay, and then roll number, and then I'll have the ID card class object. Okay. Self dot name is equal to name. Self dot roll number is equal to roll number. Self dot ID card is equal to ID card. Okay. And other important thing is there are two possibilities. One is creating the student class first and the ID card class second. The first possibility. Second possibility is creating the ID card class first, object first, and then the student object second. In the first scenario, if I create the student class first, I will not be having the ID card object to pass to the constructor. Am I right? Okay, so you can see the third parameter of the classes for the object is ID card object. So, but if I create the student class first, I will not be having the object for ID card at all. So what to do is I can just make this a default argument by giving none, because it means that there is no ID card at all passed.
Sure, once again, can you repeat?
Yeah. So there are two scenarios. One is creating the student class first and the ID card second. And the second scenario is first ID card and then the student. In the second scenario, I have the ID card object. Okay. So while creating the student
Voice.
object, are you able to hear me? Is it okay? Hello? Am I audible and clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in the second scenario, I have the ID card object. Okay. So I can pass it as the third parameter for the student object. So no issues in that. Whereas in the first scenario, if I create the student object first, I don't have the ID card object to pass as the third parameter. Okay. So in that scenario, I just skip the third parameter because I have given the default value for ID card as none. None will be assigned to ID card if I don't pass the ID card object. And after that, I can update the value of none as the new object ID card that is created. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that. So now let us write the self, the string method. Okay, sorry, def str of self. Okay, return self dot name hyphen self dot roll number and then plus self dot id card plus, and I'll make it as str because it's an object. I'm connecting this object to a string. Now, if I call this self dot id card, what happens exactly? This is an object, right? So now what happens is it will call the str method of this id card object. Okay, so I should implement an str method, string method here, and this string method will be called over there from here. Okay, now let us define this class id card. So ID card, what all things shall we have in ID card? So ID card will have the roll number, right? So I'll remove this roll number from here. I'll write um, department. And here I'll write roll number. And then to add one more parameter, I'll just write print whether it has a barcode or not. Okay. It is a boolean value. It is just a true or false. Okay. Barcode is present, it will be true. Or I'll write is barcoded. Okay. Is barcoded. It's a boolean value. And you can see that there is no like parameter. There is no parameter for student at all, right? Whereas here in student, I have the third parameter, which is ID card ID card object. Okay, so that is the difference. Self dot roll number is equal to roll number self dot equal to and here I'll write the def str return self dot roll number. I give a colon plus str of self dot. Since it is boolean, I am typecasting it to string. Okay. Now what happens while executing this str method is self dot name will directly refer here. Self dot department also will be referred here. While coming to this third parameter, self dot id card, it comes to the str method of id card. So now this will be printed. Okay. Self dot roll number and then self dot barcoded. Fine. So now I have the student class as well as the id class. Now I should write the main code. So we can see that student class and then ID card class are in two different separate files. So I should import these two modules. Okay. And then I should like import the classes as well. So I can use from import. Okay. So from student import student and then from ID card import ID card. Fine. So now I'm free to use the student class and ID card class. So let me do the first method. First creating the student class and then the ID card class. Okay. S is equal to student of, so name department. Okay. And then I don't have the ID card object, right? So I need not pass the ID card object. So if you don't pass, by default, none I have assigned. So none will be assigned. So now I'll create the ID card or just I, okay. So it requires the roll number, then barcoded true. Okay, fine. So now I created the ID card object. So now how to assign this ID card object to the student? Can you tell me? Yes, I want to assign this ID card object to the student. How to do that? Anyone? See, it is just a normal parameter, right? ID card is also a parameter. Don't think that since it is an object, it is difficult to access. You can directly access the object also, like how you access a normal variable. So how to access the ID
If
card?
you
Just put
take,
s dot.
like if you take,
Uh,
okay, sir, okay.
s dot ID card is equal to I. That's all, very simple. Okay. Now simply I'll print yes. Python 3. Okay, fine. So now what happened? It is calling the str method of student. So name, department got printed, and then this is the str method of ID card. Okay, 123 colon true. Any doubts in one to one? Okay, others? Bhumika has replied, no doubts. What about others? Are you able to follow or finding it difficult to understand?
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah,
Here, did you just pass I as object to student? Uh,
yeah, the other way, right?
it's not I. Just
Which one? Yeah, wait, I'll show you. So first ID card, and then if I do like this, now I have the ID card object, right? So I can simply pass it as the third parameter. So the
yes, sir.
second way. See, second way, okay? Now you can see the same output. Sorry. Okay, fine. Now let us go to the second example. Second, yeah, second type of relation, which is one to many. So book has pages. So now let us continue here itself. Okay. So class book. Okay. So now how to implement this one to many? Book will have many pages, right? I don't know how many pages are going to be there. So what should be the parameter inside book to represent pages? There can be 0 pages also. There can be 100 pages also. So like I need a variable sized parameter, right? So how to do that? init of self. So I'll have two parameters, name, author, comma author, author, and then so now I should have multiple pages, right? So how to have the multiple pages? I should have a list of pages. That's it. Very simple. So I'll just simply name it as pages, right? You can also name it as per your wish, page list, okay, or page set, whatever you want. You can name it, okay, because you can also define a set, or you can also define a tuple, whatever you want. You can define. You should have a like provision to like store multiple pages. That's it. Okay, fine. So like um
Is it equal to null? I mean, pages
yeah,
equal.
either you can make it as none or you can make it as an empty list as per your wish. Okay. So this will like if you make it as none, no, or make it as a list means if you try to iterate, it will not throw any error. Okay.
Okay.
Or if you make it none, you have to again put a condition whether it is none or not. If it is not none, you have to write like that. You have to put a condition. That is also fine. Okay, no issues. Either you can make it none or an empty list. Both are fine. So self dot name is equal to name, self dot author is equal to author, and then self dot pages is equal to pages. Okay. So like before this, I'll define the page because that is simple, right? Most important thing should not be plural. Okay, it should be singular. Def init self comma we'll have two parameters, page number and then content. Self dot page number is equal to page number, self dot content equal to content. Okay, now let us write the self str method. Str of self, then you have the page number and content, right? So return str of self dot page number plus self dot content. Okay, now page class is done. Now coming to the book class again. Now the str method for book class is pending, right? So def str of self okay, and then return. Okay, okay. So now we don't know how many pages are going to be there, right? There are going to be multiple pages. So what I would do is name an author. I can print. I can just simply print it. So I'll just create a string. Okay, yes is equal to empty string, or like I'll just initialize with the name and author. self dot name sorry self dot author, and then I'll give a slash n. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I have already formatted the page. Okay, so page format is nothing but page number hyphen content. So this is the format for page. So every page will have the same format. Okay, page number followed by content, page number followed by content, like that. You have the like page format. Now what I should do is I should iterate this page list. Okay, so for I in self dot pages s plus equal to str of I. Okay, and one more important thing, there is no slash n at all over here. Either we can put a slash n, concatenate it over here, plus, or we can put a slash n over here also. Not a problem, both the same. So now I created a string. Okay, this string will contain the name, author name, as well as all the pages. Okay, this will create all the pages and concatenate in yes. Now simply return yes. That's all. Okay, now page class is done, book class is also done. Now coming to the main program. Here also it works the same. First you can create the list of pages and then the book, or you can create the book and then list of pages. Okay, so I have the pages list. I'll just write pages dot append of. You can create a separate object and then also you can append that object. Else you can directly put like this. Okay, no need to write the separate object and then append the. If you create an object here, that will also get appended. Both serve the same purpose, right? So page of. So what does it contain? Page number 1, comma, and then content of page number. Okay, I'll simply write hi, hello. So I'll add few more pages. 4 pages. I'll just change the page numbers. Welcome. Python, oops. Life is beautiful. Okay, now pages are done. I've created all the pages. Now I have to bundle this and put it as a book. So book, we have 3 parameters. Name, b is equal to, most importantly, our book is equal to book of. And then I have the pages list already in my hand, right? So I need not worry about that. If I leave it empty also, an empty list will be there. Now I have the pages, so I just pass pages. That's all. Good. Print of book. Okay, so this is the advantage of having the str method. Okay, so simply I call the object. What happens? The str method will be called. So else I should search for what name I have given for displaying the function. Okay, and that name I have to mention it over here. All those things are there. Okay, so another advantage of. So if simply if we print book, what happens? The str method of books will be called. You have the name and author, and then the concatenated format of all the pages. Okay, now let us see how the output looks like. Sorry. Okay. Any doubts? Okay, fine. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Now, I think today it is enough. Okay, so I don't want to tire you so much. Next class we'll see about many to many. You just see how to just think about what would be the possible implementation for many to many. It will be very interesting.
So once show me the code, I'll take a
Yeah,
screenshot.
yeah.
I think. Okay. Thank you. Done, sir.
Okay. So yeah. So your task is to just to think how um, how many to many can be implemented. Okay, so like should we have a list or do you have any other method to do that? So just think about it and come in the next class we can see that. And one more assignment I've given you, what is the way for accessing a private variable of a class. Okay, so these two things you see and come in the next class. Okay, so now we can ask your doubts. Rahat has asked a doubt in day 2 problem 20. So submission and logic, Rahat. Rahat.
Yes.
So like what is your username? You have a doubt in submission or you have the doubt in the logic?
Logic, sir.
You want the logic.
Yes. I don't understand the question.
Didn't understand the question.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
For first test case, it was valid. Pass that first test case, but second case.
Okay, I'll just tell the logic. See here they're telling that these four rules are the important points. Okay, that you have to see. If a player turns over an ace, okay, which is one represented by one, and with at least four cards remaining to be turned over, okay, and none of the next four cards is a high card. So these four are the high cards. Okay, so if there is any one, so here there's a one, right? One means it's an ace. Followed by that, there are at least four cards. Yeah, that is true. There are more than four cards are there. And none of the four cards is a high card. See, the following four cards are about 5, 6, 8, and sorry, 4 and 8. Right? So this is also satisfied. So the player scores 4 points. Okay. So if it is 13, okay, and it should be followed by how many cards? At least three cards. But whereas here, yeah, here there are three cards. Okay, 6, 10, and 6. So three are there. So this is also satisfied. So that particular player will get 3 points. Likewise for 12 and 11. So this is the logic. Just check whether the current number is a high card. If the current number is a high card, just check the remaining these many number of cards. Okay, so if it is 1, then 4 cards, 13, then 3 cards, 12, then 2 cards, 11, then 1 card, like that you check. Okay, and then like give accordingly the scores. Okay,
Yes, sir.
fine. And ns,
Thanks.
yeah, ns has asked for the time deadline for completing the I practice. So actually, I asked my team. They told that they have to discuss with the COL team and then give a reply. Once I get the answer, I'll tell you. Mostly in the next class, I'll tell you.
And also, do we receive any certificates?
Yeah, you will receive an e-certificate if you complete 60% of the entire course.
Okay.
I don't know 60 or 70, but if that
They
completion is
mentioned
reached,
50% grade. I mean,
50,
yes, sir.
50 is too low. I'll check and tell that. I think 60 is the
Okay. Overall, I mean, everything it should be included, like I
yeah,
practice ISS.
yeah. Overall 60%.
Okay. They mentioned that by the June 11th, we need to finish off everything.
When is the course getting over?
June 11th.
June 11th only. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Before that 50%. Okay, I'll just confirm and tell you because
Okay. Okay, sir. Okay.
you will not have much time. Some of you are working also, right? That's right. Okay. So any other doubts? Day 2 additional question number 2. Additional question. Want the logic? Okay, write a Python function to find and display 6-digit. See, actually, this question has only one answer. I think I've exposed the answer also. There are no multiple answers also. That's why there's no sample input, no output and all. Okay, just read the problem. Just find out which number would satisfy this entire logic. That is the answer. That's it. So I've given
I
the
got
answer
it,
also.
sir.
This is the answer. Okay. Just check whether it's following this rule. So okay. Any other doubts?
Sir, I have a problem. In the video section, I watched the full video, but it's showing 0%, not 100%. I
No,
refreshed
no.
many times.
Yeah, no need to worry about the I learn part. Okay, I learn part is just for learning. If you don't see also that completion is not going to count. Okay, so only have to concentrate on the other parts except this I learn. Okay, I have to show you how to access. First, I'll show you this file handling. I forgot to show that day. See, in file handling, um, so the input name, output name, and all are given. Okay, so you have to just follow this, and then input.txt should be created. Okay, so what you do is in your local, create a file called input.txt, and then you can copy whatever content you want. Okay, just for like if you want to check whether the program is working correctly, just copy the same content which is present over here, and then create a file in your own system. And after that, what you do is just come here and see. So only in this file part, you will have the option called My Files. Just click on this My Files. A pop-up will come. There you simply browse it and browse that input.txt, whatever you have stored in your local file, local system. And then just click on this upload. This will get uploaded over here.
So did you add this
Fine.
file topic?
Yeah, this is file topic.
You did. Did you add it?
Yeah, it is open now.
Okay.
I think it was not open for the past days. Today only I opened.
Okay.
Okay. So then just close it. Okay. Okay, after uploading, you just close it, and then you can write your logic over here. And after that, okay, so let us solve this problem. Okay, so input.txt, it has some content. Okay, so just to see the content, I'll just f is equal to open of input.txt s is equal to f dot read print of s. So some content which is present in input.txt is coming over here. Okay, so yeah, now I have to copy this content to output.txt. So f1 is equal to open of output.txt, and then I have to open it in write mode, and then f dot write of yes. Sorry, that's all. Save the code, and then if you execute, so what happens is, see, in my files there is no file called output.txt, right? Okay, so once I execute, sorry, testing. Okay, sorry, f1 dot write. Okay, now if I open this file, you can see output.txt got generated. Okay, just to check the content again, what you do is download, and then you can see the content. Got it? So this is the process, okay, for doing file problems. Understood? And coming to classes and objects. Okay, so in class and objects, you have a different editor, which is called the multi-file editor. Okay, previously you were able to do only create only one file, right? So from now on, you will be able to create multiple files. Okay, so we have the main.py and then person.py. And most important thing, main.py is going to be a driver program. Okay, so always the ebox tool will search for the main.py, and then the execution starts from main.py. And then M is capital. Okay, and most of the problems will have templates. Templates are nothing but supporting files. Okay, so few part of the code would be filled already. Okay, fine. So please kindly note this. You will like experience indentation error. Okay, so to avoid that, what you do is just remove the entire content. Okay, just remove the entire content. Just press an enter, automatically indentation comes. Okay, so like this, like previous editor only, indentation comes, and then you can start typing your code here. Okay, so the spacing which was given earlier and the spacing that comes now using enter are different. That's why I'm asking you to delete the entire content. Okay, even in main.py, see, just leave the code which is which is not all the commented code, you just remove, and then you start typing the code. This will not produce any error. Okay, fine. So it's a simple program. Okay, just read and display, that's all. So you can come write this person. Okay, this is also, let me help you out in doing that. So def init of, so what are the parameters here? Name and age, right? So self comma name comma age, and then self dot name is equal to name, self dot age is equal to age, and then constructor and then object, and they are asking you to print the person details. Okay, so def display self print of. So here you will be allowed to copy paste. You can do that because some sentences will be large. Okay, print of self dot name print of self dot age. So like frequently save the code. Okay, here is the button to save the code, or you can press inside the editor and press Ctrl S. That will also save the code. Okay, p dot, sorry, p is equal to person of. So first they're asking for name and then age, right? Name is equal to input of and then age is equal to int of input of and then person of name comma age, and then just put print p dot display. So it is asking for the name. Okay, we got the output. So validate. So it will show the difference. If there is any difference, it will simply show the difference. There is no difference, so you can submit. If you submit, it will show the status. Okay, I'm not submitting because it is not my ID. Understood how to do this work with multi-file editor? See here also you can create your own files. Okay, so just right click on this, create a new file. Okay, so you can give the name over here. Suppose you want to create a student dot py. You can create a student class. Okay, if you want to create another folder or a package, my pack, and inside this you can create here, you right click and create new file. Okay, so if you click this, you can see the hierarchy. Got it? Okay, so this is how you have to do work with the multi-file editor. Any doubts? Okay, fine. Yeah, so thank you all. We can meet in the next class.